Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
It's good to have you with us tonight. I'm Whitney Ward. We begin tonight as students woke up to alarms this morning after a gas leak was reported near the campus of Gonzaga University. Fire crews had to work with Avista for that situation.
KREM 2's Brandon Jones explains what they had to go through.
Firefighters actually had to knock on the doors of college students and wake them up during final weeks to alert them of that gas leak, but their work with Avista made sure all of those students were safe.
So we always include them on the solution part of it.
The machine that caused the problem was blocks away from the dorms. Schaefer says it wasn't the construction crew's fault though. That's because the equipment that goes into the ground can stretch for many yards. Something like a large rock can divert the drill and cause it to hit a gas line. It's not a problem of drilling at the wrong spot.
We successfully evacuated with cooperation of Gonzaga, which was staggering, the amount of organization that they have.
When these kind of situations present themselves, it's up to the fire department and Avista crews to work together and get things under control. It's a double dose of safety procedures, with Avista capping the natural gas in the area and firefighters securing everything else. There were 26 firefighters on the scene this morning at Gonzaga. Before buildings that use natural gas could be cleared, firefighters had to use ventilation and make sure conditions were safe. The whole situation took about 2 hours to get under control. From Spokane, Brandon Jones, KREM 2 News.
About this time last year, protesters put up tents outside of Spokane City Hall that refer to themselves as Camp Hope.
Protesters wanted the city to add more shelter space and repeal its sit and lie ordinance. That ordinance, which is still technically in effect, makes it illegal to sit or lie on a public right-of-way at night. But it's only enforced if shelter space is available.
KREM 2's Amanda Rowley shares what Camp Hope protesters are saying about this a year later.
We were here last year when Camp Hope protesters set up some 50 tents outside City Hall. The city eventually asked them to clean up and move on. Then these signs went up in their place. A year has now gone by and Camp Hope protesters say there is still work to be done.
So that people can take care of themselves.
Our main purpose was shelter beds and the sit and lie. So those are two things that I myself haven't, lost sight of.
Joseph Sampson stood outside Spokane City Hall at the very beginning, where Camp Hope came to be. He acknowledges the city's work to open a warming center and contract more shelter space, but he believes that's still not enough.
Even though Cannon is open, I still see people sleeping under the bridges, in doorways and things like that. So, that means, that kind of tells me we need more beds.
City spokesperson Marlene Feist says the city does not have a year-to-year comparison of the available beds, but she says there have been spaces available across the shelter system nightly.
Unfortunately, you don't see a lot of positive changes in the last year.
Barb Brock is also an involved member of Camp Hope. She says the group is still hard at work.
They're continuing to work for better resources, for more opportunities possibly for a homeless person to get out of homelessness.
Camp Hope group members stay connected on its Facebook page. In addition to this, Brock and Sampson say they continue to bring their message forward by attending city and neighborhood council meetings regularly. But now, with a new mayor and city council president, Sampson says it is hard to tell what the future holds for their efforts.
It's going to be interesting to, learning how to deal with our new mayor, of course, and see what kind of things, that she will show support on and what, things that she won't.
Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
Well, now let's take a look outside. A beautiful shot from Schweitzer Mountain. Look at that this morning.
Beautiful.
Wow. They are open for ski season right now on some limited runs. That's just because they haven't had very much snow at all. But boy, they certainly weren't hurting in the scenery department, isn't it? Michelle, a lot of people just chomping at the bit to get this snow season going.
We are going to get a little bit of snow in the mountains this weekend, so that's good news. Actually, some mountain locations could see some moderate snows, and the valley's mostly rain, but we do expect the potential for a little bit of light snow, generally under an inch across north central Washington, northeastern Washington, and the Idaho Panhandle, the northern Panhandle. These are in the valley locations. Spokane, of course, and Coeur d'Alene will just see plain old rain, but we do expect some moderate snows, especially across the central Panhandle mountains, and that would include the Lookout Pass area, which could see 3 to 6 inches of snow between noon Saturday Saturday until Sunday morning, and some of those higher elevations could see some of those higher amounts again during Saturday and Sunday above 4,000 feet. The rest of us, just plain old rain. We've got cloudy skies out there right now. If you're out and about this evening, should stay dry. The rain expected to move in during the overnight hours and tomorrow morning. We do have some reduced visibilities across the area due to some fog. So in Sandpoint, they're down to about a mile visibility. Walla Walla kind of socked in some dense fog down there, about a quarter-mile visibility. Again, just looking at cloudy skies this evening, but after midnight, got a plan for that chance of rain moving in. Overnight temperatures will be pretty mild, staying above freezing, and then highs in the lower 40s tomorrow with rain in Spokane. Mountain snow drying out for Sunday with a high of 38 and a dry day on Monday. More seasonable temperatures in the middle and upper 30s.
All right, Michelle, thank you. New at 5, police have arrested 2 teenage runaways in connection to that burglary at the Post Falls Boys and Girls Club. Both of those teenagers do remain in custody right now. They'll be charged with burglary at a later time. They were initially arrested for some unrelated matters in Spokane. Police say the teens caused more than $3,000 in damage.
Phone scammers are at it again, this time posing as law enforcement. In this latest one, scammers tell the person they've missed jury duty and that they'll be arrested if they don't pay up. The payment ranges from a few hundred to thousands of dollars.
The Washington courts actually sent out a notice about this scam, warning people not to pay. Sheriff's offices will not contact you regarding jury duty, nor do they ever call people to advise them of an outstanding warrant.
Washington Governor Jay Inslee is expected to be out of the office for at least a week. He's getting his hip replacement surgery next week. Secretary of State Kim Wyman now will be the acting governor. His staff will release the governor's supplemental budget and policy proposals now in 2 weeks. That's directly ahead of the legislative session, which is set to begin next Friday.
The shortage is just mostly that the kids are getting to stay out in the cold right now and not getting to school.
Bus drivers in the area say they're concerned about how a shortage is affecting students getting to school. An increase in the economy has pulled thousands of drivers into higher paying jobs. KREM 2's Shayna Waltower tells us how a local company is now actually desperate for more drivers.
As you can see behind me, there are tons of school buses here, but not all of them have drivers. It's due to a shortage going on in the area. The biggest concern is being able to get children back and forth from school safely and on time.
So it's always fun to get them to where they need to go, safe.
Samuel Beso has been a bus driver for 14 years. This isn't the first shortage he's been through. He's watched many of his co-workers leave for full-time jobs.
People have got more things that they want to do besides driving a school bus.
But this year has been worse than previous ones, with the last major shortage being back in 2017.
When the economy gets a little bit better, it's a national dilemma for school bus drivers.
Rhonda McClellan, general manager of the Durham Bus Service, says an economic boost in Spokane is causing this year's shortage. She says business development in the West Plains area, including the Amazon Fulfillment Center, is opening jobs with better pay and without the split shifts that bus drivers work.
There are other entities that have come into the city that people are leaving school bus driving jobs for.
It's putting a strain on daily operations.
We have to be able to pick up on last minute calls, changes real quick, having to help other routes that aren't being ran and pick up those kids and get them to school.
These extra routes are slowing drivers down, making it harder for them to get to children on time.
Kids are getting to stay out in the cold right now and not getting to school, but I just don't feel that it's going to come to an end real soon.
McClellan says the company has hired more recruiters than previous years to try and attract more people to the business. She also says they're advertising an increase in wages from the current $17 an hour to $18.50 starting in January.
Get those applications in, people. We need some bus drivers.
In Spokane, Shayna Waltower, KREM 2 News.
The FBI is leading an investigation into the mass shooting at Naval Air Station Pensacola. Police say the gunman shot and killed 3 people before turning the gun on himself. Several other people were also injured, including 2 sheriff's deputies.
Police say the suspect was a member of the Saudi Air Force and an aviation student there at the base. Naval Base Pensacola is one of the Navy's most historic bases. It employs more than 16,000 military personnel.
No word yet on a motive. President Donald Trump tweeted this afternoon that the King of Saudi Arabia called him to express his sincere condolences.
Despite Wednesday's shooting at the Pearl Harbor Naval Base in Honolulu, the annual remembrance ceremony will continue as planned. Tomorrow's event remembering the 1941 bombings launched by Japan that pivoted the U.S. into World War II.
The ceremony will include a rifle salute, a Hawaiian blessing, and wreath presentations. Pearl Harbor survivors, World War II veterans, and their family members are all expected to attend.
It's shameful, disgraceful, and the American people deserve better.
The White House says its lawyers will not participate in next week's impeachment hearings. In a letter to the House Judiciary Chairman, the White House said House Democrats have wasted enough of America's time with this charade. On Monday, the Judiciary Committee will focus on the findings of a 2-month-long investigation into the president.
Abuse of power that they laid out are likely what the Judiciary Committee will use to draw up articles of impeachment.
Articles of impeachment could be drafted as soon as next week. It could also include charges of abuse of office, bribery, and obstruction. The White House is ramping up preparations for a possible Senate trial early next year.